Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dynamis Pod. This is Robert. I'm joined today by Mr. Mark Mickens. He's with ES3 and he's the retail sales operations manager. Mark, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, Robert, good to see you again, man. My man, been a
You
long
as well.
time, but thanks for having me on. Yeah, my name's Mark Mickens. I've been in the retail automobile business for over 40 years. Most recently, last 3 years with our company ES3. We're training and staffing uh, company out of Detroit, Michigan. We do everything from web-based courses to virtual instructor-led courses to support teams in the field that we have. Work with about 13 OEs right now, specializing in mobile service and express service right now. And it's going real well for us. We're really proud of where the company's gone in the last couple of years, and we're growing, and it's really fun to be part of.
Very nice. So you mentioned you got some OEs that you guys are actually working with hand in hand. What's some of the OEs, and just let some people know that exactly the OEs that you guys are working with? Is it like a luxury?
Yeah, we
Is it
do. We
like
do. We're big in the luxury brand space. We do a lot of work with Mercedes Benz. We do a lot of work with Lexus. Most recently, last year we really started. We have a big presence with Genesis now.
okay?
We got people out in the field supporting their dealers every single day, and our Lexus program, our service advisor training, is now a master class with Lexus. We're real proud of that, and still doing our thing with Mercedes Benz on the mobile service and express service install side. I've been doing a lot of work with BMW up in Canada. So
Okay,
most recently with Mazda Sales Promise. So we're growing. The company's really grown a lot. In addition to our elite support team with Daimler Truck out in Charlotte,
okay,
and we've grown a lot over the last 2 years, and everything's looking really great. We're going to have a busy 26, a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak, and we're doing really
exactly.
well. We've really concentrated in the last year or so on making our mobile service program what we feel is the elite install support and sustainment program in the
Sure,
industry. Really feel that way, where we've built everything from showing you the business plan from infancy to install to long-term sustainment and growth. Uh, we have a 9 pillar system that covers everything from how to purchase an upfit to how to make the van environmentally safe,
sure,
OSHA safe, um, complete upfit with our upfit partners, and most importantly, with our software partners that we partnered with in the industry, because software is the number one growth mechanism. For mobile service, it's definitely a force multiplier if you have a good software program for routing, scheduling, billing,
sure,
all the things that go along with it. So we really feel like with our partners in the industry that we become the premier install company in mobile service in that space. So we're working real hard at that. I have a great team of professionals of guys that have been in the business that have actually gone out and done it themselves.
sure,
As you know, I had a fleet of 6 trucks at Mercedes Benz of Paramus, so I lived it. It's not theoretical for me. Everything we've
exactly.
done has been, tried and true. And some of the things that even the communication, we've kind of built our brand on having, best form of communication inside the vans,
Hmm.
for programming and extent, bigger programs and really, come up with a really good way of overcoming a lot of things uh, that were kind of roadblocks for dealers and retailers that were thinking about getting the mobile service, but they saw this big roadblock of I don't want to spill oil in someone's driveway. I
Sure,
understand that because I spilt oil in someone's driveway and it cost me money to do it. So, we're really proud of where we're at in that space now and some of the people we partnered with in the software space
sure,
and people we partnered with in the upfit space and in the environmental space. AGA Tooling out in California is a partner of ours, and we've solved some of the mysteries, I think, and and we've created some really good safety protocols for the technicians that we teach. So, we're
Sure.
proud of our solution, and we really think that in 2026 it's really going to take off for us. Because we're really introducing it now, and it's really starting to get a good foothold in the industry.
On the mobile side, so does it seem like it's more customer driven as far as, like, individual customer, or is it fleet?
I think it's a lot of both. I think
Is it
that
a lot of both?
yeah, I do, because I think that, Ford, obviously, let's, call it what it is. Ford's done a great job in the space, right? They've been the leader.
Sure.
They put their money, where their mouth is, and put their money where their ideas are. And, Ford Pro is really, a fleet-based idea, and foundationally it's fleet. Obviously they're going to want it to grow in their customer space, in their
Mhm.
customer facing space. But yeah, I mean, I think it's both. I mean, I started in fleet. My first foray into mobile service was when I was a Ford dealer, and we had the contract for New York City. We were sending a truck in every day back then to
Sure.
program a 6.4 or 6.7 diesel, that had problems. So yeah, and it's a great solution for fleets. The Ford Pro program is a complete solution for fleets. There's no reason to have to go to the dealer, if you're part of Ford Pro. So I really think that Ford did a good job of nailing that, and I think that uh, more so, for fleets, that's going to filter out into their customer facing business.
Mhm.
I really think that uh, what the race is now is for the luxury brands to really realize that it's a premium brand service, right? Look
Exactly.
what General Motors is doing. General Motors is making it a premium service. It's on
Sure.
their window sticker, right? So they're making it a premium service. So I really think that for the luxury brands, um, I think it's something that should be part of what they do. If you're going to
Absolutely.
position yourself in the market as a luxury brand, I always use this example. Uh, in talking to a dealer, talking to anybody who wants to talk to me about mobile service. I use my own driveway as an example. Yeah, I was a former
Sure.
Ford dealer. So of course, when I didn't have a demo anymore, I went back to my Ford store and I bought a Ford Bronco. And I love my Ford
Mhm.
Bronco, right? And my wife drives a Mercedes Benz, right? Now, if my Mercedes Benz dealer didn't do mobile service and didn't do pickup and delivery, because my Ford store sure as hell does, right?
Exactly.
I can have my Ford store right now can come and pick up my car, bring it down to the quick lane, have it serviced, bring it back, or they can come change my oil right in my driveway. So is what's premium service? If my Mercedes Benz dealer did not do that, right? I mean, so what's
Yeah.
luxury brand, right? So those are the kinds of things that we're talking to especially our OE partners in the luxury space about that, if you want to position yourself as a luxury brand or a premium brand, you know, Ford can't be stealing your thunder, because
No,
they
definitely
are,
not.
because they are. And I think in a luxury space that Lincoln is now positioned in a great place because they're, obviously part of Ford Motor Company and they're providing mobile
Sure.
service. So, I think that I on that basis alone, I think everybody's interested in it. It's depending on who's going to execute on it, right?
Sure.
I think every single OE is talking about it now, right?
Exactly.
Because they have to, Robert. We've seeded this space once before, right? We said we didn't need
Exactly.
that maintenance work years ago, right? We said we didn't need folks coming in to have scheduled maintenance done at our stores, right? I mean, if we didn't seed that work years ago, you would not have a whole network of those folks out there now, making a living off of our customers, right? So,
Certainly.
I really think that our industry is at, the manufacturing side, the dealer side is at a threshold right now. Are we going to cede that back again to independent mobile service providers, or are we going to capture and keep that business? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think the last time I looked, I think the industry itself was around 130 to $150 billion a year industry right now
oh
for auto
yeah,
repair in the United States. So, I mean, that's a huge chunk of the market, I'm sure that,
yep.
like you said, you don't wanna cede that back. Do you think that, when I seen it happen, it was kinda like, you mentioned Lincoln. So Lincoln during COVID, like, really ramped up. They already did concierge service. They already did pick up, drop off, all that kinda stuff because they are a luxury brand like you mentioned. But, like, I really remember when COVID hit, like, it really shook a lot of the dealers because they didn't know what they were gonna do. They didn't and everyone really didn't know what was gonna happen. I mean, for the first 2 weeks, everyone was getting all kinds of different messaging. No one knew what was happening. We didn't really know how many people were actually affected by it, if they were dying. So all that stuff was kind of big. And I remember I was doing some consulting work when that happened. We were trying to figure out where's the kits at to clean the vehicles. We're going to do the same thing, that kind of thing. As I was at a used car lot, but it's like helping them set their vendors up. But it's like I seen Lincoln really switch, like, on, like, can't commercials and, "Hey, we'll come get your vehicle," and I seen that model really shoot up. Is it COVID driven and it never went away? Is it kinda like work from home? Or is it a
Yeah,
thing
I
that's
mean,
gonna be here and stay here now, I think?
you can't put the genie back in the bottle once you start doing that, right?
Right.
So
That's true.
here's what everything that the great part about not being in retail anymore and being really on another side of it and looking at
Sure.
things the way we look at them. Our company is great because we do a lot of things based on math, right?
Exactly.
When I'm on the retail side, there was math, but there was always emotion involved in what we were doing, right? A lot of, there's a lot of passion in it, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of, and there still is passion. I mean, I have a lot of passion for the business, as you can tell, but we really try to structure our training based on, what the customer's saying, right?
Exactly.
And what the customer is saying to it every single stop, every single survey, every single paper that we purchased and look at, everything we look says, I want it to be convenient.
Sure.
They don't say, I want to wait 3 weeks to get my car in for service or go wait in someone's waiting room for 3 hours. That has shown up nowhere in the information that I've looked at over the past 2 years. Everything says that if it's not convenient, I'm not going to do it. And
Exactly.
we and as an industry, and I'm part of the industry, and I'm proud to be a part of the industry, we struggle with that, right? We
Sure.
struggle. We struggle with the fact that you can't just pick up this phone whenever you want and go ahead and make an appointment at your own store. I challenge guys to do that all the time. Go on your phone and make an easy appointment at your own store and tell me how many clicks it takes to get you to do it, right?
Sure.
So
Mystery shop.
we haven't been convenient for years. What's going to win the day going forward is people value time somewhat more than money, right? I was struck by something when I was at Mercedes Benz, and still when I've gone to Mercedes Benz dealers, and not just Mercedes Benz, this goes on throughout the industry, where if somebody has a prepaid maintenance plan or
Mhm.
the car comes with a maintenance plan, right? For example, some manufacturer out there now offering, still, maintenance packages on the vehicle.
Sure.
Why do they go unused? Because you're not convenient, right? I mean,
Exactly right.
the thing I always hear out on the street is, because they go through F&I, they pack it in, nobody realizes they have it. Okay, I'll give you a small percentage of people that happens to. Okay, the larger percentage is if you ask a client or a customer like I did, hey, you have this free maintenance package. Why didn't you use it?
Mhm.
Because I can't get in. It takes 3 weeks to get into your store. I'm off on Wednesdays and you can't take me on Wednesdays. So that was my first light bulb moment that, we have to do multiple things because everybody's in a different situation. Not everybody wants their car picked up and redelivered. Not everybody wants to
Sure.
come in and wait. And not everybody, mobile service isn't possible for everybody. So I think you have to do a lot of everything, and I think you have to offer a variety of ways to service someone's car, um, to get to even have a chance to get them to come for the second one,
Exactly.
or the third one to gain that retention. Because I think retention is the game now. Cars, let's face it, they need to be serviced less. I think the manufacturer's done a great
That's
job
true.
of making better cars, right? So let's face it, we're seeing less cars, and that'll be the case, going forward. We'll see them less frequently. Uh, but for different things. I think our opportunity really is in the fact that the more sophisticated the cars get, especially when you get into the plug-in hybrid, BEV, full hybrid, full battery operated vehicles, that we're going to get more opportunities with those
Certainly.
vehicles, not less. So I think that building a retention and building a way of keeping the customer or guest is you have to do a variety of things to do it. It's not just mobile service, but mobile service is a great hook because the survey we looked at last year said if you have one mobile service done, you're 92% likely to have another one done. So
Exactly.
you've been in the automotive business your whole life. What number of anything that we do says a customer will come back 92% of the time if we do it? There
0
isn't
things.
there isn't
No.
one, right?
Yeah.
So when
That's the top. That's the
yeah,
top.
so when a dealer or general manager or a fixed operations manager asks me why mobile service now, if there's one number I can point to, it's that number, right? It's
Exactly.
what can you do for somebody that they're 92% more likely to come back again, right? So
Keep taking the money.
yeah, I mean, listen, I just think that it's a great way for you to capture and retain some customers that you really maybe wouldn't have in the past, right?
And be in
Some
service and be in
right.
service to them. That's exactly right.
Sometimes on the outer edge of your area of responsibility or your PMA, whatever you want to call it, those
Mhm.
folks are just maybe too far away to come in and drop the car off for service or
Sure.
for you to go and pick up and deliver it. But for a mobile service, if it makes sense on our route, we can retain that customer, right? So I think a little bit of everything. I think that,
Sure.
the model of, that Mercedes Benz has, service your way, where, well, we're going to open the doors and we're going to let you choose whether you want to come in and wait for it. You want us to pick up and deliver it. You want us to bring you a loaner car or drop it off or give you a loaner car, or we can give you a mobile service.
Sure.
How about we outbound contact you and let you choose? I mean, that's a
Exactly.
great way of doing it, right? So we've been pretty successful with that, and we've also been pretty successful at teaching the outbound contact method when the car needs service, right?
Exactly.
Everybody has an app. See, even on my phone, right? I have there's my Ford app right there. That's my car, right?
Yep.
So everybody's got an app now. So I could do anything with this with my Ford dealer. I can make
Sure.
an appointment. I can start it. It tells me my oil life right now. It tells me
Yep.
my mile. It tells me everything, and everybody's
Yeah.
got one. And really, believe it or not, dealers, retailers need to tap into this more because the car's screaming at you when it needs service. It's telling you, my oil life is
Absolutely.
10%. And
Check engine light comes on, they know. Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that we could take advantage of. A dealer, I mean, think about how good this service is. My service light comes on, my oil light miner light comes on. I get a notification at the dealer. Somebody does,
Sure.
right? What's better service? Waiting for that customer to call me to tell them it's 3 weeks to get an appointment, or for me to outbound contact that customer, client, guest, whatever term you use, and tell them, we know your car needs service, right? Here's
Outbound contact
how
100% of the time.
yeah,
Yep.
how about, I could come to your house on Tuesday and pick it up. My mobile service route runs by your house on Wednesday, or you could come in on Thursday and wait for it, right? How about
Yeah.
how about that for service, right? So those are the things that we're trying to change. Those are the things that we're trying to convince dealers is to provide that much more better customer service, and you'll have a great shot at retaining the customer long term because that's really what we
Exactly.
need to do.
A couple things come to mind, all those things that you just said, because being a service advisor, being a service manager, being a director for a little while at the dealership, I got to see firsthand the same things that you've seen. You've seen it way longer than I did, but I remember them really, really well because they were really big hurdles. And the one I remember seeing in Consumer Reports years back, it's probably been 10 years ago now, they did a survey. Would you rather take your vehicle in to have it serviced, or would you rather go to the dentist and have a dentist appointment? And people literally were picking the dentist appointment.
Yeah,
They did not want to take their vehicle, drop it off at the dealership, the whole rigmarole of all of it, because I mean, business has gotten real, really fast now. So it's like even people go to work and do it, 9 to 5. They don't have the time during the day to take the vehicle in to have it serviced. So that is a huge thing. And the other one that pops up is I remember for the longest time, it was around 70%. of people that were told about their tires for the first time would buy tires. So dealerships jumped on that because they also found out if you serviced their vehicle and changed the tires on it, you were like 60% more likely to actually work on the vehicle and retain it. So
Yes.
this is like the next step. This is the turbocharging of that same system. Exactly what you're talking about, what your company provides is that training and next level training to actually get people to remove the roadblocks, like you mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, to get people to just allow the dealership to actually do the vehicle. Now, one thing that I've always thought with that whole warranty style, prepaid maintenance, a lot of the vehicles come with usually 3 years, like you mentioned. Um, a lot of times after the warranty period's over or after that maintenance is over, the people that do show up at the dealer to have that done, they just dip out. They don't go back to the dealer a lot of times for service. And I think that the dealerships are really having a huge disservice to themselves by not finding a way to make that maintenance a lot longer, make it a loss leader if you have to, roll it into the car price if you have to be honest, but keep the vehicle coming back to the dealer because it's an incestuous relationship. It always
Yeah.
has.
Here's
The
what dealers
dealers,
can
the
do.
manufacturers, like, there's stuff that they both could do to help each other out and the industry, and it's like it's the blind hitting the blind sometimes.
But it's in your own store.
Yes.
Listen, the one time people have to come to your store for the most part, at least now. And dealers, listen, I was a dealer. Dealers are great. They're the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, right? They overcome and they they're individually owned and run businesses in an industry, and they overcome so many different obstacles and different changes. And the business is always ebbing and flowing. And
Especially in the last 10 years.
right, people don't realize things like government policies and changes and
Mhm.
things like that, how that affects you right down to the dealership level. And dealerships, people, these men and women that own dealerships go out and spend like our company did. You're spending your own money to upgrade these facilities and make them beautiful so people want to come there. So
Exactly.
the one time that you can guarantee you that they're in your store is when they come to buy the car and pick it up and drive it away. Big
For now.
purchase,
It's
biggest
exactly
time,
right.
right? So the one time they're in your store, you're not going to introduce them to everything that you do and show them all the people that they have to support that car after they buy the car, right? We don't introduce them really good to service, right? We
Nope.
don't create a digital like we're teaching create a digital profile on that customer. How do you like to have your car serviced? Would you like us to call you for service? Would you like
Exactly.
mobile service? Tell them all the things that you do. Start the conversation then. We could come
Yep.
and pick up your car and drop it back off to you every time you need service. We could come to your home or your office to service your car every time you need service. So I really
Exactly.
think that the last link to retention is for dealers to do a better job of explaining what they do throughout the life cycle of the car. We don't
Absolutely.
do a good job of that. We
Nope.
don't. We still silo so much to the sale and to the finance office, and then we leave. And we never really get that customer to know that, how could you not know that you have prepaid mints, right? That should be stamped over everything that you, this is, and you should have a presentation on what you do. Every single
It's
person
true.
watches video. Create a minute long TikTok or
Yeah.
video for your F&I office to say, this is what we do, right? Here's all the
Absolutely.
support. Well, after you buy the car, this is how we support it, right? These are all that you'll never have to worry about anything because we have a solution for any problem that you would ever have with that car, right?
Sure.
So there's a couple places where we need to do a better job. There, that's a huge retention builder. We have to give the customer all the information about us so we can
Absolutely.
retain them. And then we need to have that connection with the people that are supporting them, whether it's a BDC manager, service manager, whoever's going to make that call and say, listen, I'm Robert. I saw you bought this car. You know, give us a call if you never, or we'll call you when the car needs service. I see we set
Exactly.
up a profile for you. So those are the things that we're teaching. And we're saying, listen, if
Yeah.
you want to be luxury brand, then you better tell everybody what you get being a luxury brand customer, right? So
Exactly right.
we're trying to build that with dealers because I could tell you, Robert, along the way, I missed that. I missed that, and you have to circle all the way back and build a quick lane, to get
Exactly.
some of your customers back, right? Because you make those mistakes, you get so siloed in what you're doing that you don't realize that it's all one big roof, right? And the dealers that get that it's all big one roof are the dealers with the 80 and 90% retention rates, right?
Exactly.
They're the
Yeah, it
people
certainly is.
they're the people that get it. So I think that that's we could do that much better in the industry, and I think that once we get them to come back to service and use us, then that's when we really have to prove that it's just not the same old, right? That
Exactly.
it's that it starts in the drive, that it starts with your greeting, it starts with creating a relationship. We tell service advisors, build your own brand, right?
Yes,
You want them to come and see Mark every time. They
that's
for,
exactly right.
build your own brand. Have them come and hand you the keys because they know that you're going to take care of their car. And how do you do that? You do that by good customer service, great greeting and walk around, explaining all the things that you're going to do during service. Present the video on PI. Do the video on PI. Be able to
Exactly.
explain what the
Yeah,
technician is.
the
Have the
follow
technician
through.
explain it, right? The single biggest game changer since I've been in the business is video MPI. If you're not using
Sure.
it as a dealer, if you're not using it effectively, it's a huge miss. It was one of the best things I've ever seen happen. I'm glad I got to use it before I retired out of retail. And it's something that we teach it. We have choreography on it, and we really believe it. It's a next level for everybody, not only in sales growth, but in customer
Sure.
trust growth, and just being able to tell somebody again, you bought the car from me. This is how we're going to take care of it, right? We're going to make sure that every time that you come in, that your car, when it leaves, is 100% safe. It's 100% mechanically sound, and that you're going to have, worry-free driving, barring some thing that we don't, see, right? An
Exactly.
emergency repair. The other thing that we've been really pressing on dealers about doing too is the emergency repair, right? Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking their car is not going to start, but it happens.
It's
Nobody
true.
gets up in the morning thinking they're going to get a check engine light on. And what we've been really stressing the dealers and OEs that we work with is that's the situation where you have to be at your best. The car that gets towed in that you don't know about. That's the situation where we have to really be, supportive to the customer at that time. Can we get
Certainly.
them alternative transportation? Can we give them an idea of when that car is going to come in? Not we'll get to it when we get to it. Oh, you got towed down, backed up 3 weeks. Those are the things that we say. We become situationally very unaware of someone's situation, right? I have to get my kids to school. I have to get my kids, they have activities after school. I have to get to work.
Exactly.
Those things that are, I always told my advisor to be situationally aware. People have concerns. They don't want to
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah, your car got or having a car get towed in and we never outbound call them to tell them, hey, we got your car. That's the least that we can do,
Sure.
right? So these are all the things that we've been trying to change through scheduling techniques and just better communication. Just
Yeah,
think about the
your
think
advisors have to be fixers. Like, they have to be
yeah.
fixers.
I just think the whole dealership from the fixed operations director or manager service all the way down. I think the key word is just to be a little bit more empathetic
Sure.
and situationally aware of what a customer is actually going through, right? And again,
Exactly
remember
right.
the time element. I think most customers know that a car that's broken, a car that doesn't start, a car with a check engine light, or a performance problem, I think most customers really understand that that's going to take a higher skill level technician
Exactly.
to look at that vehicle. And I think that even though it's a bad situation, I think that they realize that it might take a little bit longer than a scheduled maintenance, where they expect it to be something that's very convenient, done on their time time frame, and that we do it in the time frame that we say we're going to do it and deliver on that.
Sure.
With the price we say we're going to do it. To pricing transparencies also become big. But
Absolutely.
when it comes to the breakdown repair is something that we really have to get into. I think they're understandable in that situation, but you want to keep them understandable by giving them what, when, and how.
Sure. Great
We
communication.
right. We definitely do. We definitely don't do the what good, and we don't do the when good. Right. The what should be,
Exactly.
listen, we're going to get your car in on Thursday at 2 o'clock because that's when my next technician is free. We're going to get you a diagnosis and a time frame when we're going to fix the car. And we've
Exactly right.
been stressing that for a couple of years now, to where that's the communication level as a dealer. If you want good customer service and you want repeat business, then that's how you have to treat a customer.
Absolutely. 2 things popped up in my head as you're sitting there talking about this stuff. So 9 years ago in Buffalo Grove, Chicago, just near outside of Chicago, I took, Audi brand training, 4 rings. So I get there and, I'll never forget this. The guy was really, really good, and, his name was Christopher Rodriguez, and I'm sure he's still out there because I'm pretty sure he actually went with Genesis, the last I heard. So he teaches brand training. It's exactly what you're talking about. And I remember he was very impactful, and Audi was smart because they started going in and looking at how can we find people that work in a concierge type business at hotels, pull these people out of that industry and infuse them into the auto industry. And that's where he came from. He actually worked at Trump Tower in Chicago when they went and approached him and brought him out of that and brought him over there. And he used to always say CRM. Now, for those that's watching and maybe don't know the internal, lingo, CRM, it doesn't even matter what it actually stands for because he taught us it means customer remembers me. And he said, "You would not believe how many great tips I get, how many awesome people that come and see me, and they thank me so much because," he says, "I know what cigars people like when they come into town." He goes, "I know where they like to go for their entertainment. I already have their tickets set up." He goes, "I know where they want to eat dinner at when they come into town. I know if they want chocolates under their pillow." He said, "I know all of this stuff because it's in a profile built inside of that computer, exactly what you were talking about." And that does not happen to the level that it could happen, I'm sure. And then the other thing is like when you get the vehicle and you get it inside the building, like you were saying, it goes off the rails sometimes, and it has to be methodical of how you actually are going to reach back out to the customer. There's got to be some type of a protocol. And I watched, um, I don't know, I was at Jaguar and Land Rover for about 14 months as a service director. I can count on one hand, and it's sad because it's this many times. I had sales come to me and introduce me to somebody who had either bought a new to them Jaguar Rover or a brand new vehicle and tell them, "Hey, this is our service department. This is Robert. He's our service director. He's going to be the point person that you're going to talk to when you come in to drop your vehicle off." That
Yeah.
happened 2 times. We were selling 65 or 70 cars a month. Happened twice in 14 months. That place was a great place, and it had training, but the ball was always dropped. The silo thing, like you mentioned, happens way more than it has to.
It does. I mean, uh, when I was at Mercedes Benz Paramus,
Mhm.
uh, it's in Bergen County, New Jersey, which is one of per capita one of the wealthiest counties in the country.
Sure,
So the exposure to to Gucci and Louis Vuitton right down the street,
sure.
um,
The
two
Hermes.
2 blocks from my store was the one of the biggest uh, malls in the country. Uh,
Yep,
but I'm 20 minutes from Manhattan, over the bridge, with
exactly.
Tiffany's and 4-star, Four Seasons, restaurants and hotels, and you know, we talked about that a lot.
Sure,
What that standard is, and I will say this, that the automobile business is a lot more complicated than some of those situations, right?
Absolutely.
if you go to a top-notch steakhouse and your steak isn't right, they can bring you another steak very easily, right?
That's right.
If your room isn't right at the Four Seasons, they could put you in a better room. They can upgrade you, right? If you buy your wife the wrong Gucci bag like I did, you can go back and get her more stuff for the return on the Gucci bag, right? So
Exactly.
that's great, but it's a lot more complicated in the automotive business because it's a machine. You know,
Sure.
Mercedes Benz it's a machine. It's a engineering marvel, right? And it's
Yes, it
not as
is.
easy to say that we're just going to do this and that's going to happen. But what we can do, the same that they do, is be empathetic and knowledgeable about the situation to try to solve the immediate problem of what's plaguing that guest, and that is uncertainty. The
Exactly.
uncertainty of when I'm getting my car back, the uncertainty of how I'm getting my kids to soccer that night, the uncertainty of how am I getting to work tomorrow, and really more so is the uncertainty of I just bought, listen, I was dealing with, I waited my whole life to buy an S class when it broke, right? I mean
Yeah.
that's a legitimate beef. I was on the job for 2 weeks when somebody said that to me.
Yep.
I waited my whole life. I retired, bought an S class, and now it doesn't work. You have
Yeah.
to, that's a little bit different than what I was used to. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I really found out that, having service advisors that were really honed in on situational awareness, empathy, and really wanting to build their own brand, wanting to be successful
Sure.
at having their customers that when that person's car wasn't functioning the right way, they called me on the phone and I'm going to take care of you. I didn't have to go get my manager. I empowered my service management and my service advisors. Fix the problem.
Absolutely.
Here's the five things that we can do to fix that problem. Go fix it. You don't
Yep.
need permission from me. You need process. So what dealers
Exactly.
need is process. They don't need they need process. They don't need permission. Right? So you got to put that process in place.
That's
And
exactly right.
I'm a Six Sigma guy, so you can
Yeah.
measure and improve that, and that's how we used to look at it. Is it working? Are we controlling it? Are we improving it? And we would look at things that way. But you need
Sure.
process. You need something that you need process that you train your folks on and then trust it. But it's got to start with empathy. If you want, you got to put yourself in that person's shoes. And if you're not willing to do that, or you don't have people that are willing to do that, you probably have the wrong people working for you. Especially
Exactly.
when you're trying to build a brand for yourself, you got to make sure that you train people because people can be trained, right? I mean, if you go work at
Certainly.
a great steakhouse or Four Seasons or Gucci or Louis Vuitton, they have training, right?
Absolutely.
It's training. We have to do the same thing. And it doesn't matter luxury brand or not. You should, if you're at a Ford store, you should be building your brand, right?
Absolutely.
I I get a little mixed on what's luxury brand now because if you look at some of the stickers on a Ford Expedition, it's
There's
kind
six
of
figures.
yeah, it's kind of close to the Mercedes Benz we were selling not that long ago too. So if I'm paying $100,000 for a vehicle, I don't care what badge is on the front of it. I don't want to be treated anything less than, you know, my wife who has a Mercedes Benz. I don't.
That's exactly right.
And yourself more than anybody is that because you did mobile service. How many
Yeah.
how many garages did you see that had the two same products in the garage? Yeah, that's the other
Yeah.
thing that we've been discovering. Like if
Yeah.
somebody's got,
It's that brand loyalty because, like you said, like if you had Ford and you had Mercedes and Ford was coming to your house and servicing your vehicle in your driveway, and, and they were under the radar and got in and out, and the HOAs wasn't bothering you because I used to deal with that kind of
oh
stuff
yeah,
because
sure,
that can be a problem, but most
sure.
most most people don't care. That's not a big deal, But it's like you watch all that kind of stuff happen, and that person that has that Mercedes Benz at some point maybe don't have that no more, and maybe they get that brand loyalty goes and it goes the opposite direction that you would think it would go. Typically you would think, "Oh, I have a Ford, but I'm gonna aspire to buy another Mercedes." I have one now that my wife drives, but that kind of thing, right? But
And
like
it's
you
pretty,
said, it's cyclical, right? Like
yeah.
it's okay, well, I see that, I'm gonna do that because they're actually taking care of me.
You get loyalty by creating it,
Sure.
right? Brand loyalty
It's
is
like luck.
well, yeah. But brand loyalty has wavered over the years because we haven't done a great job of creating a reason for somebody to be loyal to your brand, in my
Sure.
opinion. Like here's what could be loyal to your brand. If I have a car from your dealership and you give me all these services, why would I go look somewhere else? I'm not saying
Yeah,
everybody, it could be you're buying a lease price or stuff happens, right? Where,
sure.
you know, they're, maybe your model is not as fresh as the new thing that just came out over here. I can get that. But if it's coming down to, this brand or this brand, and I get all this, I know for sure because I had one of these for 5 years and I got all this
Exactly.
great service. And I know Robert, he's my guy. So am I going to have to go through something over here where I don't know if they do all this and I don't have Robert? I don't know. You know, I think
Yeah,
that could,
exactly.
that could create some brand loyalty, in
Yeah,
my
it
opinion.
it it puts a hook. Like you said, it just hooks and it keeps people. It's like Velcro. They don't wanna leave. Why would
More
you
so,
wanna leave that?
you wouldn't.
Why would you wanna leave a great service experience, right?
It's
You just
more
don't want
so
to.
more so dealer loyalty, right? I mean,
Sure,
dealers need to build their own loyalty, their own brand, right? And because there's forces against you as a dealer that you can't control, right?
sure.
What's your new product? What products are you selling? What's your new launch? What's the payment figures look like? What's the company putting money behind? There's so many other things that go on that you can't really control. The one thing you can control is your customers and how you treat them.
Exactly.
And again, would you pay a couple extra bucks to stay with the same dealer on a monthly payment? I think you would.
People do. People do it all the time. So one thing you mentioned was Lean Six Sigma. That type of stuff it's awesome because it really can transform how business operates.
Yeah,
And you mentioned earlier in the conversation about how you guys actually allow the feedback to actually come back to you. It's a positive, good, when I say positive feedback loop, it's a good feedback loop so that you guys can actually operate at the speed that a business does operate at. So you guys
yeah,
can change kinda on the fly and, not too far off of base, but, like, you could change on the fly if something's not working, you can re-engineer that and fix it right away.
yeah. Because
I think that's amazing in the way that
I
you guys are doing that.
somebody's got to. You have to have. It's just a one philosophy. It's just how my brain works. I took the training years ago, and
Sure.
you can't untrain your brain to. I did a couple things. I took that training, and
You're
I
looking
read
for
Ron's.
inefficiencies.
Yeah,
It's like
I read.
you can't not see it once you start seeing them.
I read this book too. Hold on a second. So I'm a Six Sigma guy, and I read Ron Stoner's book, The Seven Controllables. Right? If it's an older book now. In fact, my pages are a little yellowed, but
Sure.
this still works. Right? It still
Yeah.
works. You're running your business mathematically. You're
Yep.
looking at trends, but I think what we've added to that is the mathematics. But listen to your customer. Listen to your guest, your client. Listen to them. Listen to what the trends in the market are.
Mhm.
Some of these studies that we look at are, you know, 2,000 plus respondents.
Sure.
Right. So it's not a small sample. It's a big sample. And it's not just, it's all brands. It's not just luxury brand. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a CDK paper. It's a NADA white paper. It's all the things that we look at, and we that's real information. The
Sure.
voice of the customer, the voice of the client. You have to listen to that. What's driving the business? What's making somebody not come to you?
Exactly.
Why aren't they coming to you? And why is your retention being eroded? You have to look into those things. You can't just wait until you don't have work and then you're sending out postcards and flyers and all the fancy stuff that we
Exactly.
generally do because we don't pay attention. You got to pay attention to the business every single day, not just when it downturns, right?
Exactly.
And we've got to get out of that cycle. And I think that we've been working really hard with clients and dealers to make sure that they try to get out of that cycle. I was guilty.
Yep.
I was guilty of that.
Well, everyone has been at some point, right? Like, I remember
Yeah.
taking, we had to be Diamond Elite certified level, like, 140 hours of, like, Dave Anderson training when I was at, Germain Jaguar Land Rover, which
Yep.
was awesome because I took it. I was 3 months long. I banged it out. I did it. I loved it. I ate it up. One of the things I always remember him saying was like, "Hope's not a strategy."
It's
Like, it
not.
was a huge saying. It's not a strategy, and it's not, and I never really thought of it that way. It's like you can sit back, you can ignore the problem, you can leave the problem over in the corner, you can act like it's not there at all, like, it's a weird thing, but as soon as you actually take it head on and try to set up, like you were mentioning earlier about creating a brand, creating luck, like, it works if you just actually put some time and effort into it and try to, figure out what you said, why aren't they showing up? Why are they not coming here?
Yeah, and I think that, it's also, um, you can't pay atten you can only pay attention to it when it's not going good, right? Like,
Right,
you have to have processes, you're better off in service being this right here, right? Like,
right.
you need a process-driven, steady as she goes because it's going to spike. There's things you can't control. Somebody launches a, massive recall or a massive reprogramming. There's things that are going
I
to be
lived
out
it.
of your, yeah. I mean, things are going to be out of your control pretty quickly. And I'm also a realist too. And I think one of the things that helps us build our training is that, I have, you know, a bunch of colleagues that I work with that all sat in the chair, as we say, right?
Sure.
Fixed ops director, service manager or above that help us. We come together on these things to create our
Mhm.
programs and the ways we're doing things. And listen, I know what it's like to walk into a dealership every day and have a plan and have your plan shot to shit in about
Yeah.
30 seconds, right? With who's
Yeah,
calling in.
sometimes less. You're
Yeah,
exactly right, though.
who calls out, who got towed in, who's waiting
Yep,
for you out in the lobby because their car didn't get fixed. Listen, I'm real about all of that, okay? But I'm also real about the fact that it doesn't have to be that way every day. You have to
exactly.
slowly gain control so you're in control of everything, right?
Yep,
As best you can every single day. And you can do it. You can't just say,
yep.
"Oh, it's the car business." It's good. The one thing that I always hated about the car business is everybody said, "Well, I like controlled chaos." Well, you might like it, but your
Right.
customers don't. Your customers
No.
hate it. There's things that keep coming up on customer surveys. If you read your surveys and you pay attention to the voice of your customer, they don't like controlled chaos. So
No.
that's a bad term that I think that we should really lose
Places
in the business.
places that places that embrace that and run that way, they're consistently inconsistent, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like, that's exactly how it operates, so it's like there's an ebb and flow, but the ebb and flow is like this.
Yes.
Like, it's so, so large of a margin back and forth, you never know what you're gonna get.
So we
So, like,
we designed
customers
a
don't wanna walk into that.
nah, so we designed a service advisor program, training
Mhm.
program that became a master class for a manufacturer. So in other words, you can't become a master service advisor unless you take our workshop. It's a 2-day
Right.
workshop. And it would our workshop was originally designed for service advisors with 1 to 2 years experience
Sure.
and ended up being that the reason why it became a master class for certification is because we had more 25 and 30-year service advisors coming to being trained on things that they were never been trained on. Now
Sure.
that was a lesson for us. It was a lesson for the OE we were working with at the time to
Yeah.
say that, you know, just because somebody's been in your store for 20 or 25 years doesn't mean they couldn't benefit for some training. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because we none of us are doing what we did 25 years ago, or
Right.
we shouldn't be
Definitely
because the
shouldn't
business
be.
is
That's true.
the business has changed that much. So I really think the opportunity, for us as a company, for a training company, more and OEs, and at the end of the day, the end user, the dealer, is to really, training went by the wayside in COVID. Not that anybody's,
Yeah, it kinda happened to
it
everybody, you're
happened.
right.
It happened.
Yeah.
But coming out of COVID, I think that there's been it's been a slow. Let's get back and take a look at when the last time that Robert, who's been
Exactly.
with me for 15 years, actually was required to take a training class that mattered. Now,
Yeah.
listen, we design web courses, so I'm going to be the last guy to tell you web courses aren't effective because we
Right.
we we build them to be effective, but are they really effective? Are people really taking them and learning from them? If they were really taking and learning from them and absorbing the information, as opposed to well, if I don't take this class, I'm going to lose my certification. Or if I don't take this
Right.
class, my dealership's not going to get the bonus money, right? Like those
Right.
can't be the two primary reasons for you to take a
No.
web class, right? The
No, it
primary
can't be
reason,
just can't
right?
can't be just all about Pavlov's dog. It doesn't
Correct.
there has to be other, like, motivating
Exactly.
factors. Has to be.
Yeah. So we really, as all learning is good learning.
Sure.
I think that you know the in person workshop, the at least a virtual led instructor where there's
The role
feedback,
playing.
the role
Role
exactly,
playing.
the exercising,
Yep.
meeting other people.
Yes.
Again, the same program that we ran for the OE that I'm talking about, you know, it really came strong on with meeting people,
Sure.
exchanging information. You
Yep.
work at that store, I work at this store. Let's
The
stay in touch.
networking aspect.
Right. You were my accountability partner in class. Um,
Yep.
let's stay in touch. Right. That kind of stuff. So I think that there's a lot of room for learning, because I think what we
Sure.
find in the field now in dealerships, there's not a lot of in between. We have the person that's long tenured
Yep.
and we have the person that maybe just started.
Yeah,
Right. And
they've been there
somebody,
6 months or been
yeah,
a year and a half.
yeah,
Yeah, 18 months.
somebody in betweens have disappeared. So I think there's a
Sure.
lot of room for training and a lot of room for improvements. But I think it's good. I think that we're on this slope because listen, young people want to learn. They're eager to learn, and
Absolutely.
it's great. But I also think some long tenured people want to learn too because they want to stay
Oh,
in
yeah.
business and they
I
want
would
to
say that.
they want to still make money and be effective also, right?
Sure. So with phone skills, this will be funny for the viewers, I think, or the at least the listeners. So I was coming up through the system. I was working at a place. I learned how to, answer the phone correctly, speak slowly, speak loud enough that they can hear you, explain where you're from and who they've called, that kind of thing, right? And ended up working at an AutoZone for like 9 months one time, just being a driver. And old timer, I knew him from another job. I was a technician before that, that kind of thing. And we'd pick the phone up, and I'd answer the phone. Hello, this is Robert. Thank you for calling AutoZone. How can I help you? And this other guy, I mean, it was awesome. He'd pick the phone up. Yeah, it's Bob Cupia. and, and it's like you said, I mean, it's a matter of that is the mindset. It was answer the phone as fast as you can. Sometimes he would answer the phone that wasn't even to his mouth yet. Like it was clear out here still. And then you get Kelpia, and that was all
Yeah,
you heard. And you're like, what the hell was that? Like it was, am I being punked? That kind of thing. Like they're looking for Ashton Kutcher to come around the corner, right?
yeah.
So it's
I mean,
like, you're
the
right. Like there's so much training that could be involved, and to actually get it to the place where it has to be to have some type of protocol that they can follow, that you can boost sales, make sure things are going. I mean, honestly, they're going to be happy too. Most of these places, people that are working at these places, they're on commission. Some of them's
right.
on 100% commission. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to make 30 more percent?
Well, I think that because and I say this with great uh, caution and not or
Sure.
just because it's a real thing. Because our industry has really not exploded into being a great industry when it comes to doing e-commerce, right? So I
Sure.
can I can get on my phone and I can make an appointment very easily, 2 clicks. My appointment's made, and I know that the appointment's going to be honored the way that I do it on the phone, right?
Right.
I ask for a loaner car. I want to pick it up on Tuesday, and I just do it, and I know it's going to happen, right? We're not there yet as an industry, and
Right.
for a lot of reasons, right? Because there's complexities in vehicles that aren't in I can go make a haircut appointment right here. There's no complexity in me making an appointment to get my hair cut,
Yeah. It's
right?
very low,
There,
low resolution.
right. There's complexities in the car business. So I understand that. And because of that, the phone traffic is still the number one way that people are going to get in touch with us, right? They
Absolutely.
have a problem. They're going to call the dealership. I'm not saying they're
Yep.
not going to visit your website. And I'm strongly encouraging everybody to look at their website to make sure
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
bare minimum functional for some of your basic services. But they're still going to call your dealership.
Hmm.
And you make fun of the greeting. And I think the greeting is, telling people who you are and what you're doing is really important. But you know what's more important?
What's
being
that?
able to answer the most basic questions that customers are going to ask.
Exactly.
That's what you need to be trained on. And it's usually when, how much, and how long, right?
Sure.
And if you're not, if you're BDC or schedule maker or receptionist or whoever you have picking up the phone to answer those calls, or whoever you have to make those outbound calls, if they're not prepared to tell when the next available appointment is for that service, to be able to quote a simple menu of what comes with the most basic service, and more
Sure.
importantly, give a basic price on how much that maintenance costs, right? If you can't
Exactly.
do those three things, right? And then the fourth thing is, what about the emergency call? What are we
Yep.
doing with the emergency call? Am I putting the emergency
Because
call
we
on
all know
hold?
it's out there.
Right. Am I putting that call on hold, or am I becoming part of the solution?
Right.
So what we like to train in for the BDC is, yes, it's great to tell you this is Robert and I know who I'm speaking to, but it's much more important to know basics on maintenance and what you can offer. Being able to quote tires. Number two thing why
Sure.
people there's three things that the three main things that people contact your dealership for. Basic maintenance is number one, tires is number two, my car's broken down number three,
Yep.
right? So if those are the three things that most, well, I digress. One of the biggest things people call in and you have to try to eliminate from your BDC's day is status calls, right?
Exactly.
If you ask any dealer, ask any
Yeah, the
BDC manager,
inbound.
right?
The
So
inbound
so
calls from noon to 5.
right. So we want to try to eliminate status calls as much as we can, so we can concentrate on the three things that people are really calling for that we want a BDC representative or agent to
Right.
work on, right? Because remember, most BDCs get paid on appointments made, appointments kept, number of dial, whatever you're paying your BDC on.
Sure.
Or, excuse me, they're on commission some way. So you want them
Yep.
to do what they're supposed to do, and that's to schedule work into your store every day. So you have this. So we have a mix of work that we want. We know how many maintenance
Exactly.
is, and we know the known outcome repairs, right? We know that we want to flow that in every day. We want that to be steady. We know it can come through and get done. But we also want to know when's the next emergency repair? Like, how am I helping the person that calls up and says, my car doesn't start?
Sure.
Do I put you on hold and call you back, or do I have a solution? Well, I'm telling
And
you, the good dealers have a solution, right?
exactly. Yeah, they have to. You're 100% accurate. One question I was gonna ask you was, coming to appointments. So I had a way that I always like to do appointments. When I was setting appointments, I would set appointments around 80 to 90% capacity filled,
Mhm.
and then that left me at 10% to 20% if there was upsells, which I tried to do upsells all the time, of course. And, if we had loaners available, that kind of thing, we could, move that vehicle back out. We could get that car fixed that same day, get the loaner back the next day, keep things moving, right?
Yep.
So, I always tried to do it that way. There was a lot of guys that I watched do, they would shut the schedule down at 2, nothing after 2 o'clock because they knew that they were gonna be rushed at the end because we did cashiering. This is
Yeah.
mostly at Volkswagen. This is at a Volkswagen store that had this happened. But, like, I always tried to make at least at 4 o'clock, which it's our FOD, our fixed ops director would come in, and he would just have an absolute meltdown every time he did the audit on when we were getting calls, when we were having appointments come in. He's like, "Why in the hell are we shutting the appointments book down at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?" Now, everyone knew why, but, like, no one ever had a straight answer for the guy because 'cause they're like, no one's gonna tell him, "Hey, we know we're getting ready to cashier like every person we talk to all day long."
Right.
Because at Volkswagen, it was, "Hey, we need like 14 appointments a day to 15 appointments a day," is what they really wanted you to run. And when I moved over to Audi, it was more about actual customer service. They wanted you to have no more than 8 to 12. 12 would have been the absolute maximum, but they wanted to have really about 8, about 1 every hour come in. That way you had plenty of time to do your callbacks. You had plenty of time to do your pre-work orders. You had plenty of time to call for next day's appointment. You had time to follow up. You had time to actually perform a real customer service. So it's like, I like the 80% or so rule. And then, like, on status calls, we always did Dr. Pepper rule. You ever heard of Dr. Pepper rule?
No, what's that? That's interesting.
You call them at 10, 2, and 4. Apparently, there used to be an
Yeah,
old commercial
I've heard that.
about
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper. You should have one at 10, 2, and 4. So we did that. One of my old service managers, Mark Haig at Volkswagen, taught us that taught me that anyways. Hey, just give them a call 10, 2, and 4. 10 o'clock is, hey, we got your car or whatever. 2 o'clock was, hey, here's where it's at in the status line. And then 4 o'clock was, hey, we didn't get to it or we did get to it, and here's what we got. That kind of, system, and it was built on a system, exactly what you're talking
The
about.
system.
So I
Listen,
what
uh,
what's
uh,
what's your feeling on, like, infill of actual how many appointments?
I think that it's a great question, right? And we get it all the time. Um, and the answer I give all the time is, you know, you have to know what your skill set is, right? I mean, like, and
There's
that
only
is
so
really
many man
important.
hours in a day also, right?
Correct.
Like, you can't overpromise stuff.
No, but what's your skill set? You know,
Right.
and this is where I always arrived. You know, I had 50 technicians at Mercedes Benz and Paramus, right? So
Sure.
50, and I had some pretty skilled guys, I thought.
Yeah.
So out of the 50, maybe I had 10 that I could say, "Here's your repair order. See you when the next one comes up. Go get the
Yep.
car fixed. I don't
No
need to know
questions
nothing
asked.
from you."
Car's
Right.
fixed right the first time. It's just gone.
So we looked at it from a different perspective, and I still look at it from a different perspective. Is when I first got there, uh, I had a really good service manager, assistant service manager. They were good guys, and they were very happy to tell me, Mike, we could take in 100 cars a day easily, right? So about 2 weeks into my tenure there, I couldn't find a place to park my car, and
Mhm.
they just happened to come up to me that morning and said, "Man, we had 110 cars come in yesterday." So I finally had heard enough of that and just said, "How many effing left yesterday?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All you can say in New Jersey. So it
Yeah,
really started
exactly.
to really make me think about what's coming in every day is great, but what's leaving? What are we
Yeah.
processing? So what are we taking in? And you talked about the dentist before. My dentist happens to be a really good friend of mine, and he's been my dentist for a really long time. And he's
Sure.
got this circular office, and it's got 5 rooms. And every time I go there, he runs like this to the five
Yeah.
rooms, right? So I finally said to him, I said, "How do you do all this?" And he said, "Well," he goes, "in your business, I always wondered how you guys did it." He goes, I can't schedule 4 root canals at 8 o'clock in the morning."
Right.
Right? Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's a skill that takes longer to work on a tooth, right? It's not a cleaning, it's not an exam. It's going to take
Exactly.
skilled labor time. So I always I deferred to that.
Sure.
So when you're building your schedule, you have to build it by how much of this that you can get through your shop every day, right?
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
like the
what's
80.
your actual throughput?
Right. I like the 80% rule for this reason. We deal in 2 buckets, right? So we
Sure.
separate the work into buckets. And the 2 buckets are known outcome repairs and unknown outcome repairs, right? The unknown outcome repairs, it got towed in, the check engine light came on, the battery's dead. I need skilled labor for that bucket.
Right.
I may or may not have the part for that bucket. So if I'm gonna take care of the customer the right way, I keep this bucket over here with my skilled labor so I can tell you when the car gets towed in. I can look at that on Thursday at 2 o'clock. Why?
Exactly.
Because now I can fill that slot with that car that I didn't know was coming in.
Yep.
That's how we look at it. Now, the other part of it is that the other 80%, I'm going to arc that all day long, baby. Right? I'm
Yep.
going to take that as far as I can into the afternoon, and I'm going to use those time slots because I have the labor to do this with it. Right?
Exactly.
I'm going to know how many of those guys I have and gals I have. I'm going to build the
Yep.
menu accordingly. And I'm going to let my BDC, more importantly, or my schedulers do that unabated. Like
Exactly.
here's your schedule for the day. Here's how many we could take in every day that can wait. Here's how many mobile services I can do. Here's how many of this recall we're taking in every single day, right?
Exactly.
Most dealers let a recall run them instead of them running a
Yeah.
recall. You can run a recall every single day, get it done in a prescribed amount of time that the manufacturer wants you to get it done, but you can
Yep.
own that schedule, man, the whole day. So we really want you to arc that thing however you want to do it. You know,
Right.
quarter hour, whatever you want to do.
Sure.
You want to use that quarter time philosophy on being able to do a video MPI on every car that comes in. However, you're going to arc that, but don't tell me you're not going to take an appointment at 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Exactly.
because I'm going to tell you that you're never going to be at shop capacity then. How are you going to
Nope.
improve your shop capacity if you're not willing to take an appointment at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Well, and
The
every
reason
now and
why,
again, there has to be a stress test too. Like
yeah,
you
you got
have
to
to be
stress
able
it.
to stress it to
Absolutely.
find out where is an actual breaking point at.
Now, and here's where this comes into you. I am a huge proponent on the active redelivery of every customer's car.
Sure.
Like I think we call it key to key service. That's what we teach. You gave me your key. I'm going to give it back to you. Whether it's
Yep.
in person or virtually, I'm handing that key back to you in some way, shape, or form. I am closing the loop on this is what your car was here for. This is what we
Sure.
did. And this is what it's going to need in the future because your video said so. And I'm the person that's going to take care of you all the way through that process. So
Absolutely.
I'm the belief that you should actively redeliver every single car. You can't do that if you're not arcing your schedule. And you can't do that if you don't perform different types of repairs. Meaning, I have to have customers that come in and wait every day. I have to have customers I'm going to go out to the house and do every day. And I have to have customers I'm going to pick up and deliver their car to every day. Because that way, it doesn't all come down to 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
Not everybody's coming to the store at 5 o'clock because not everybody's coming to the store.
That's true.
And I'm not actively redelivering every single car because the person that comes in at 10, I'm going to actively redeliver their car at 11, 11:30. So
Right.
you can actively deliver every single car if you offer a variety of ways and flexibility for the customer to get their car serviced. So
Sure. And
those are
in
the
a
things
day
we
and
have to
time
get
we
better
have
on.
FaceTime also, it's like you could FaceTime, have your porter take the vehicle to him, FaceTime them and tell him, "Hey,
Right.
I'm giving your key back to you."
Now
It's that next level.
the number we're most interested in now that we're measuring and again, the software and mobile services become a great tool for us to use
Sure.
because we're trying to measure how much more you can increase capacity and throughput in your shop by the cars that aren't coming to your shop, right? How much does that
Exactly
20% of my
right.
schedule hole am I leaving now? Maybe that could be reduced. Maybe I can bring in some more maintenance and light repair every single day because
Sure.
I don't have this volume over here anymore. So, and that's adjustable, right?
Sure is.
That's adjustable
Yeah,
because
it's
all
a good mix is a good skill mix.
right.
Like exactly what you were saying, how the dentist actually put it is exactly right. You have to make sure that you're working all these things out. I used to say, like, there's 2 arcs that I'm trying to make them actually hit in a certain spot, kinda like horsepower and torque, like, always crosses at 52, 52. Like, I always seen it that way. I seen an arc of, here's how much work we could absolutely get done in one day, and then here's how many man hours or woman hours we have in the day. Like,
Yeah.
they have to meet somewhere, and they can't be way off one way or the other. They have to meet somewhere in an area where everyone gets 80% or 90% of what they were asking for,
The
you know?
biggest fail and the biggest fail in schedule, and we try to teach this, and this is something we really teach when it comes to scheduling, is is that scheduling is not something that you set up on Friday for the next week and say, we're going to, 80/20 this, or I'm going to bring in 40
Right.
appointments a day. That is not good. Scheduling is a twice to three times daily communication,
Sure.
maybe more, depending on workloads. There's things that get infused in it, like special order parts arriving, parts
Mhm.
fill, parts ordering. There's so many things that need to go. If your dispatcher, somebody designated from the parts department, somebody from your service advisor team, service manager, whoever that is, if you're not huddling a couple times a day on that workload and the workload changes and you're not getting that out to your schedulers on the workload changes for the next couple of days, you're going to fail.
Absolutely.
I can prove it to you. You're going to
Yeah.
fail, right?
Yeah,
So
it's in the numbers. Like you
workload
said, it's in the
changes
numbers.
is huge, right? And it's work. And listen, I'm not telling you that you have to sit there and say, well, I only skill set has to come into the equation. If I have
Absolutely does.
if I have 15 C and D and B technicians, I can't load the place up with check engine lights all day long, right? It's
Right.
I'm doomed to fail there, right? But you have to know who your work mix is, and if your technician mix isn't equal to your skill set, then you better start training some guys. You know what I mean? At
Exactly.
some point, that comes into it too. That's why consistent training. You see, all the stuff actually comes together eventually, right?
It sure does, yeah.
Technicians,
It's
training, scheduling, skill set scheduling, throughput, efficiency, all seems to come back to each other at some level, right?
always does.
It's not it's not one silo by itself. Everything affects each other. It really does. And I think that the more dealers learn that, the more fixed ops directors learn that, and the more they have a process that they're measuring all the time and changing and improving and controlling.
Sure.
I think you're going to struggle if you don't put some process to it and you don't measure it every day and you don't pay attention to it every day. You
Exactly.
know, um,
So I've heard you
there's
talk about training now for service, advisors. I've heard you talk about training for, like, BDCs and all that kinda stuff. One question I would have is, you're helping ES3 grow, so what type of training do you do for what positions in the dealership? Is it general manager all the way down, dealer
yes,
principal, like, from all the way to, like, the person that's porting the vehicle around possibly,
yeah,
to
exactly.
just to
Great question.
help them
Yep,
with actually speaking to customers even.
yep. In February,
Body language, all that kinda stuff, inflection, intonation, all these things, because I think that's
and
important.
how about knowing your whole business, right? Like
Yes,
I was a rare dealer because I came from the fixed operations side, and of course, my blind spot became learning sales and F&I. I mean,
sure.
I didn't have a great grasp of that until I went and learned it.
I'm
And
big on cross training,
you really do have to cross train, but
even
I
if it's
think
a couple days, like,
yep,
they should know what that job entails. Like,
I've
you
run
should be
across
able to put aside the money to pay that person for a couple days so that they know what the BDC goes through, or they
yeah,
know what a salesperson goes through, that you should be
or
able to do that.
just the next generation of dealers. I through my association with Fixed Ops Roundtable and Northwood University,
Yes,
there's some been great. I see, I was just part of something that we did, and I saw third and fourth generation potential dealer principals
sure.
um, working at all the positions. My former Ford store, Route 23 Automotive in Butler, New Jersey, my former partner's son. I was just
Mhm,
at the store. Right before Christmas, seeing some people get my car service,
sure.
and his son, who I knew when he was, this big, has worked in almost every department at the dealership, and I'm really proud of him because he's going to be a good dealer because
Yes,
he's learned everything. So I really think that our next level for training, and it's already really started, is well, first and foremost, I'm going to be fortunate enough to speak at NADA this year on mobile service, and then
congratulations.
thank you. It's really a big moment for me. I've been go
Yeah,
I went to NADA as a dealer for 25 years, and now to be on the other side of it a few years later is it's
sure.
pretty quick transformation, as they say. But right after that, we're launching, our 20 group, which is going to be, mobile service 20 group, mostly for luxury brand. That's what we're
Sure.
focusing on. And that's really going to start at the dealer principal level because we think that in order listen, it's the dealer's money.
Yeah.
One of the things that we really baked into our training is I have to go in and talk to a dealer principal, or our staff has to be able to go in and talk to a dealer principal to show him or her what they're investing in,
Yeah,
to
there has to
show
be some kind of buy-in.
yeah, what do
So
we
what's
do?
in it
Like,
for me?
right. And that's always the way it's always been for me too. If my staff wanted to do something, great. I'll write a check. What are we doing? What is it going to
Exactly.
affect? So we had to really come up with a proven business plan to show an investor, because that's what a dealer
Mhm.
is when you're asking them to do something like this, on how this is going to come out in pencil for me, that exactly I know, hey, not only when my break even point is, I can show you that. That's
Exactly.
good for me. I can show you what a break even point is. When can I show you when you're going to need the second and third fan? Right?
Sure.
That's what we need to be able to say by force multiplying. How are we
Yep.
going to grow this business to where you could be whatever you want to be? You know,
Exactly.
and what's that going to do now? In other words, again, the big quantification for us is what's that going to do to my shop operation too? How's that going to help me grow my
Exactly.
shop operation? Right. So we've come up with a way. to be able to do that, that we're really proud of, that we can talk to you and say, this is what you're invested in, and this is what it's going to look like in 3, 6, 9 months, a
Sure.
year. We could tell you when truck 2, 3, and 4 is going to come and how you're going to
Yeah,
force multiply
and
that.
you have to be able to
You know,
do that.
yeah, and how many people you're going to need, right? It always comes down to people, right? People and money. Because I'm adding an extra van doesn't mean I can add another mobile service advisor. I have to add a
Exactly.
technician, but do I have to add another advisor or 4 more parts people? We say no, right? Because we're efficient. So there's a
Right.
lot of things that we put into it, but I just think outward looking, the training for the service managers, training for the fixed operations managers, and the dealer principals and general managers is how can I be more dynamic in my entire business? You know,
Exactly.
my background in parts, right? I was the top 10, my old store still is, top 10 in the country wholesale for Ford Motor Company, since 2002, right? They, they,
Yep.
they were just in the top 10 again. Sold 25 million. They called me up this year and said, did we ever do 30 million when you were here? I said, no. And they said, well, we just did 30 million, right? So they don't need me, right? They do a great job
Yeah,
on their own. But,
that's amazing.
great stuff. No, great people, great stuff, great process, right? They had a
Yeah,
process. They do it every single day, right? And they grow it. They analyze it. They control it. All those things that we teach, that's what they still do. And now it's a $30 million a year business.
yeah.
But long story short is there's so many more spaces that have cropped up. We do research, right?
Mhm.
Um, the DIY business, do it yourself business, right? Going to
Yeah.
be 27 billion next year. 27 billion next year.
Yeah, I believe that.
E-commerce online, wholesale parts, e-commerce online. Who's getting all that money? Like, where's that going? If I'm a dealer, how come I'm not involved in that? Right?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
so many great programs out there, like Revolution Parts, that are supporting that, and others like
Yep.
them. That why am I not in the e-commerce business? Somebody's getting 27 billion. Why can't it be me? I should get my piece if I'm a dealer,
Yeah,
right?
you were saying, "Where's my piece of the pie at?" Huh?
Right. And how all does that play into mobile service, right? You can buy the part from me, drive over, and I'll put it on your car, right? There's a
Right.
million things that we're working on to try to make the dealer more modern, right? And really, I think the dealers are eager to do that too. They're starting to, the buzz is AI. That's great, but
Sure.
I think we're this ready to be ready for AI sometimes in our business, because I still think that the customer still has too many complex questions when it comes to purchasing the vehicle,
Certainly.
the finance and insurance part of it, and really the service part of it. I think there's places for some AI in our business,
Sure.
particularly maybe on the BDC side, on some calls that we're missing, and some calls we're not picking up, and some basic questions we can answer for a customer. I think that
Definitely.
it's a great entry point for AI in the business, but I still think it's basically a human business right now at this point in our business. And I think that there's so many more things that we can do at the level that we have right now to keep a customer is
Exactly.
really, it's really so important.
Just because I have a little bit of court jester in me, I have to say this because 'cause you're talking about sitting down with these dealer principals and talking to them and trying to get them sold on this. I hope to God you're sliding a Foursquare across the desk to them and asking them, "Can you do this? Are you able to
Yeah.
do this every month?"
Yeah.
I love that whole process of, having to negotiate, the talk,
Yeah.
the actual
I mean,
negotiation of it.
it's,
As
yeah.
as you're
I,
saying, I'm thinking like, I hope he slide the Foursquare right across the table. How about this number? Are you able to do this number every month?
yeah. I don't think that that's changed too much in the business,
Oh, yeah. Well,
and
like you
there's
say,
certain,
it's a people business, and it really is. I mean,
it is. I mean,
likability and trust. That's
I
it.
know that I know manufacturers look at survey information, and one of the
Oh,
things that
sure.
we look at that's just you know it's really not good for our industry when you look at the actual car sale overall as an experience, and
Sure.
it's really not it's not good. Like we always did it at that demographic of 25 to 54, right? But that keeps moving,
Mhm.
right? Geez,
Sure.
I just turned 63 last week, right? So like that demographic keeps moving, like, my 54 is not the 54, it's 54 now, right? So we
Exactly.
moved on. So I think that we 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 have to start to really to modernize, that, and I think that manufacturers are really starting to say, "Wow, our customers really don't like the F&I process. They really don't
Right.
like the wait to sign for a vehicle."
No,
And it's
they wanna click boxes now. Like,
yeah,
if I want this, if I want that, they don't wanna be necessarily sold. They do wanna be informed, but it's like I think it's like you're talking right up to what's gonna
yeah,
happen. It's gonna be like, I mean, Tesla does this whole online thing. You just order the car and it just gets shipped to you.
yeah. But again, it's a
Now
little more
that's impersonal because the
yeah.
person that's dropping the vehicle off, maybe they don't know anything about the car. They're just dropped it off to you. And hey, when you get inside of it, maybe, scan this QR code. It'll tell you all about your car.
I
That's
don't
not
get
really
too
personal.
I don't get too excited about the Tesla model, because we
Right.
looked at the Tesla model. I don't get excited too much about the Tesla. It's good for them.
Sure.
It's good for
It's
them.
got to have
One
holes
of
in it
one
though.
one of my best friends in the world raves to me about Tesla all the time. We play golf every Saturday, and
Right.
if there was an iPhone 26, he would have bought it already. So he's
Right.
that guy,
Gadget,
right? But
gadget guru.
that's not everybody, right? Because remember,
Right.
the average age of a car in this country is 12 years old now. It went up.
Yeah.
It used to be 11. So the
Yeah.
person that's coming back into the market to buy a new car is not that person yet, right? Like
No.
Tesla and some of the EV heavy companies now have soaked up a lot of that market share.
The early
Those people,
adopters.
right? Those people that want to do business that way are doing it, right?
Sure.
And that's not for everybody. However, there still is a segment of the buying public that doesn't want the 6-hour experience at the dealership either.
No.
And
No, definitely not.
so the refinement there has to be, it just has to be embraced, and we have to come up with better ways of getting the customer through our store without it being, a really painful experience. Now, granted,
Exactly.
some of this is driven by law. I don't know how it is across the country, but a car deal in New Jersey is about that thick. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
sure.
With all the things that you have to sign, and even if you go to like a DocuPad or a DocuSign, you're still signing,
Yeah.
and an explanation does take time.
I
So
bought a motorcycle. I bought a motorcycle like 18 years ago, and I'll never forget signing all the paperwork because I asked the person across the table, "Am I giving a kiddie away?"
yeah,
Like, I'm just purchasing a motorcycle.
yeah,
It's
but
new. What else can I like, what else do I need to sign, you know? You're
yeah, but
right. And
it's
that was
it,
18 years ago.
yeah. Well, it hasn't changed very much, right? Because
No.
the law and disclosures and red flag laws and things like that, they haven't
Yeah.
gotten less, right?
No.
They've
No,
so
there's more and more layers of, that
again.
level of stuff.
So I think a real pain point right now is between the manufacturer that's looking at the survey data and saying, this isn't good. Like
Right.
I don't want to be, crushed on the buying experience, right? We have to,
Yeah, it's gotta be streamlined.
and the dealer that's saying, let's call it what it is. The dealer saying that I have to be in compliance. I
Mhm.
really don't want to miss something. And, by God, F&I is still a place where I can make some money, right?
Yes,
There's not too many people, not too many places in the dealer that I still have that opportunity to sell you my goods, sell you my menu, sell you
exactly.
the things that go along with the car. So I
Especially
mean,
on a new car sale where
yeah,
all the margins are very, very slim.
right.
A lot of people don't realize what a new car sale actually, in real terms, actually gets to the dealer.
So with all these things that we do, what our
Yeah,
company ES3 does is that, we try to be realistic on both sides of the fence, right? And that's what the
sure,
advantage of having myself and my partner Brian Sheff, who does this with me,
uh-huh,
and the people that work for us in the field as we're designing this stuff. We're designing it in a reality vacuum, where I think maybe some other companies that we compete with don't. I mean, ours is
sure,
totally designed with. Well, wait a second, I was a dealer, so it's probably not going to go down that way if you try to, you know,
right.
go too far. I'm
Well,
not saying that.
you're able to forecast the pitfalls
Yeah, I mean,
because you
just
can see.
yeah, because I was the guy sitting across the table, not so
Right,
long ago, right? So I want it to be, if we're going to try to, teach a dealer something new or train them on something new or get them on a right path for doing something futuristic, I also want it to come with some reality. of the fact that
Exactly.
I know what you're going through every single day. I know how hard it is to make a profit off of all this, and I know how hard it is, to operate a service department every single day.
Yeah,
However, we've also visited over 300 dealers in the last 3 years, so we've seen good, bad, and ugly, and let's try to come together with some best practices because that's really all it is. It's let's take the best of the best. And let's try to get it out as many people as we can. You know,
exactly.
because if the whole network is healthy, then everybody's healthy, right?
Absolutely.
You got there's healthy individual dealers out there all over the place, but if the
And
network's
it
not healthy, it's not good for everybody.
right, and it changes the industry for the better all the way around.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because the aftermarket should want the dealers to have a healthy business. The dealers should want the aftermarket to have a healthy business. Because honestly, like, why would somebody wanna work in a dealer? Why would you wanna work on a car that was 10 or 12 years old sometimes?
Right.
So, especially in the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt I worked in the Rust Belt almost my entire life. Some of those vehicles that come in, they were not fun to work on. Like,
Listen,
they were real bears to work on. So
there's a need for outside provider. Listen, there's a need for
sure.
independent repair facilities. There's a need for chain stores, right? Like
Yeah.
because the customer says so, right?
Yep. Yeah, and
If
until they
people,
stop going and, utilizing that service, you're exactly right. It fills some type of a hole. It
all I'm
fills a
saying is
need.
we shouldn't give it up so easy, right? We should we
No,
should we should
no.
keep it.
Healthy
And
competition. It should
yes,
be competitive.
right. And we should win as dealers because we are the best solution. We
Yeah,
we we
well, and
are.
factory
We
training, factory,
parts,
certified technicians, factory parts, OE. Like, I still, to this day, I push OE as much as I possibly can when it comes to parts,
right.
especially
Well,
because
the
the
last
parts department now, like, some of the stuff that you get, people are buying stuff from Rock Auto, they're buying it off, Amazon, they're getting seconds, they're getting returns, they're getting stuff that was already installed, like, and it's not like I didn't get
well,
that
one of
stuff
the biggest thing
before,
is
but
look
it's
at
terrible now.
we drizzle that into like our wholesale parts training because
Sure.
go ahead on Amazon or Rock Auto and click on something, and it's going to tell you all the other things, the companion parts you need to buy with it, right? So that's part
Yeah.
of what we do too. Why aren't you? Why is Rock? It's $27 billion. That's why, right?
Right.
And so I just think that, the better that we make dealers aware of this and the better we make OEs aware of this, the better the network's going to be, right? Like, again,
Absolutely.
I'm for a strong network no matter what the OE is, because the stronger the network is, the better all the dealerships are going to be put together, right? We don't want to have a bad reputation as
No.
an industry, right? We want to say, dealers are the best option. They're the best place to take your car for service. They're the best place to buy a part. And oh, by the way, if I'm in a pin repair facility and Robert just trusts me because his dad brought the car there, and I'm going to bring my car just like my dad did to Robert,
Right.
that's fine. But why don't you buy the part from me? I could do that
Yeah.
for you too. So I think it's good commerce back and forth, and I think there's a place for everyone.
Right.
Um, but I just think that as dealers, we need to really keep some of that more than we're
Yeah.
keeping now because it's going to
Yeah,
be
I agree with
important down
that
the line.
100%. Yeah, like you said, why would you just give it up? And
No,
in the
you wouldn't.
past, it seems like we're just gonna ignore that part. For the longest time, dealers didn't really go after tire sales because it
No,
was, "That's chain store
right.
stuff. We don't care that, the manufacturer doesn't even put a warranty on them other than materials defects and that kinda stuff with,
I
labor."
remember I
It's
remember
like
doing it as a service advisor.
right.
I was working in a Ford store, and we had a tire store right up the street in the hometown I lived
Yeah,
in, and I was working on 3.8 Windstar heads. I didn't have time to change the tires. I sent that up the
exactly.
street. Tires in alignment, go
Exactly
out up
right.
the street. So we didn't have time for that stuff back then. Imagine that. Imagine
Yeah.
that, right?
Now you would
And
never turn that away.
right.
Like,
And
I'll
and
do your tires. I'll do your tires for 4% margin.
and then
Absolutely.
and Ford was first there too because I was part of I was a parts and service director in
Right.
1995 when Around the Wheel came out. That's
Yeah.
that's when it started, and it was just we never were like, wow, we're going to be in a tire business, and I could actually
Right.
buy tires cheap and put them in stock, and that was a big thing for us 30 years ago. Around the
Yeah,
Wheel's been around for
absolutely.
30 years now, so it's Ford's been a leader in a lot of things, and credit to them for that. You know, I'm an unabashful former proud Ford dealer, as you can tell,
Exactly.
but for good reason. They've done a lot of things. Um, been the tip of the spear on, around the wheel, tire sales, quick lane tire and auto, mobile
Yep.
service,
Mobile
so
service. Yeah.
they've been leading for a really long time. So good for them.
Yep. So that brings up probably the last question I'll ask you because we've been on here a really long time. It's been an excellent conversation. Um, the Jim Farley comments that we kind of talked a little bit, offline about. Like, I think that, more of this like a flap. It was more like I probably shouldn't have said that type of thing. I think Frank Lutz, when he was on with me, he even said that PR team probably was like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't have went that direction with that statement about 5,000 open positions." And they, like you said, they got like 7,000 dealerships. 5,000 open positions is probably more than that. But, he was trying to go for that 120,000, dollar number, and you and I both know that salary positions in dealerships are very, very far and few between. Most of the time, your top level technicians, even if they work themselves into some type of foreman position or something, they're still getting some type of production or commission on what they actually get turned through the shop and get flagged. So it's like the salary part, I think he was
Yeah,
just kinda, like, making the point that, "Hey, the country's in deep, deep doo-doo right now about how we're doing this, and we really need to focus on getting more, people into the industry that's gonna stay in the industry and have some longevity," I think is where
I
I
think
think that's where he was coming from.
I think what he meant. I really do think what he meant because obviously he's a smart guy, if he's running Ford Motor Company. So I
Right.
think really what he meant was, listen, there's 3,000 plus Ford dealers. To say you have 5,000 openings isn't what he meant. I think what he meant was, the upper echelon of the A plus master technician. He's probably
Sure.
5,000 master technicians short, right? Which
Yeah.
is a huge number, in the scheme of how advanced the cars are becoming. So I
Right.
really think that that's what he meant, because the number of technicians that Ford Motor Company as a network is much greater than 5,000. I think
Right.
what he was trying to emphasize is that, hey, I have 5,000 highly skilled positions that pay 120, $150,000, which is true, which is true.
Sure. There
You
are
know,
some there are some positions that do
w-
pay that, and
sure. I mean,
technician positions.
well,
100%. I agree
technician
with that.
positions for sure,
Yep.
without a doubt. If you're a master of any manufacturer right now,
Right.
you are well into the six figures, and you are well in need, at a store, right? And rightfully
Exactly.
so, right? Rightfully so. Um, and because we need you. So if we need you, the salary or the flat rate, whatever you're on, has to be, commensurate to the need. So I really think
Exactly right.
what Mr. Farley was probably trying to get at there is that, hey, the skilled trades period,
Yep.
um, is something that really needs to turn a little bit. As I'm a proud board member at Lincoln Tech. I know you're with UTI, and they're both very respected schools. I'm a I'm a graduated from Lincoln Tech. I've been a speaker
Mhm.
at Lincoln Tech. I'm on their advisory board, and I'm on the life board for scholarship now. I'm very proud of my service to
Nice.
Lincoln Tech. But man, we need kids. We need young people, coming into all of our locations.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm pro automotive, but all of our
Sure.
locations. We need skilled people coming. I think that's what Jim Farley was trying to get to. He was trying to get to the point that, let's get these people trained up. Let's get them on a path that's clear. Let's get them on a path that's accelerated. Right.
Exactly.
Let's not take 5 years to develop
Right.
skilled technicians, right? Because I think that that's part of the issue also.
Sure.
Like we were talking about some of the things that you do, like you're training a manufacturer specific technician. And I just think that every
Yep.
manufacturer, if they really want,
Information, like procedures, the
right.
whole 9 yards. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So to the manufacturers, to Jim Farley's of the world, if you want to solve the problem, let's get the training in these schools. Let's get the kids into the training. Let's get them an accelerated path that's going to take them out to making a living that would be
Right.
consummate to them going to school for 4 years and not having that debt, right? That's
Right.
the secret sauce. They know that. We know that.
Yep.
But we need to accelerate it because it's not quick enough. It's not quick enough for the
Right.
industry. It's not quick enough for the kids that want to get in, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if
And
I'm
like you and
if
I
I
talked about offline right before we came on, like you don't want to train somebody for months and then have them come into the industry and then spend 3 or 4 or 5 or maybe 6 months in the lube rack
no,
because that does not help them
that's not a good.
proceed and get better at being a technician.
I'm
Like,
not
that is an entry level position for someone
correct.
coming in that you teach them that one maintenance,
The
and then you
real way forward is
get their
listen.
wheels underneath of them and take the training wheels off.
Listen, if that's the only position you have in a store to get somebody through the door, that's
That's one
fine.
thing. Yeah.
But my point is you better have a path for that young
Yes.
man or woman to get to the next level. Because if they're still changing oil a year from there, they're probably not going to stay with you, right?
No.
I'm more talking about is give me somebody that's 90% certified.
Yep.
Take a program like Genesis has a great program, in my opinion. That
Mhm.
you come out of a Genesis program 95% trained. You have everything you need to at least go into a store and say, I kind of know everything I need to know. Now, if I
Sure.
shadow for 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever it takes for me
Right.
to be a technician, a diagnostic technician, right? That's what really we need to be concentrating on,
Right.
right? Because going
Where they can
forward,
come in and they can flag
right.
hours and, like, know what they're doing, story things correctly,
Yeah,
fix
don't
things
we
right the first time, all those things.
and learn how to be a flat rate technician. Are we putting you
Right.
in that environment right away? Are we making you responsible for tracking your time
Right.
or for putting your time on a repair order? Are,
And
are, are we teaching you what time
and
management
managers
is?
should be.
Right. Well, big hole I see, right? Poof, you're a flat rate technician doesn't work out very well. I can promise you that. So these are all the things that our company trains and we're concentrated on, and we're looking really. We're kind of getting to be elite in the space because of our
Sure.
knowledge base and what we're pitching. That's I've been pretty humble up to a point at this point, but I think we are the best solution in the market for a lot of this stuff because of our experience,
Sure.
and because we're keeping it at a realistic level.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like you said, you have 40 years. I'm sure that your partner that's, you're working with you has
More
got,
than me. He's
extensive
older than me
yeah.
too. I could say that on here.
Nice, yeah. He's older
so when
than
he,
I
so
am.
when he watches, he's very older than me. But that's not really.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
But
But
that's the
yeah,
thing, it's like you have these, that is a compound, compound interest type of a situation where you've got that level of years behind you that helps you go out into the industry and actually, make a real difference in it.
and
So
and because we've stayed relevant too.
sure.
The numbers, the studies, the surveys, our work in the stores, still going out and visiting, being active. It's relevant. I've learned.
Right,
Here's the thing. I've taught a lot in the last 3 years, but I've
right.
learned a lot in the last 3 years too.
You always
And
do.
and I would say learning more in the last 3 years has benefited myself and our business more than maybe what I knew. Right. So what I
Absolutely.
know, blending it in what I'm learning. Yeah, that's when we're starting to get to the cutting edge stuff. Because I can say at some point, well, that's not going to work now. Maybe 10 years ago that would have worked. That shit ain't going to work now. We
Exactly,
we
yeah.
we got to
Doesn't
start.
fly.
No, we got to look over here, right? And I'm energized by. We have a lot of young people
Yeah.
that work for ES3, work with our staff that I work with next to side by side, coming
Mhm.
up with stuff. And man, we got some really smart folks, and we got some really smart young people that are driving this thing, and they're teaching me. Well, you used to do it this way. Why don't we try it this way? And it's really it's creative, it's ingenuity, it's all the things that you want. So I'm excited
Exactly.
about what I'm doing now too. I haven't missed a beat with some of the new stuff that you know give me that young staff to work with where they can maybe learn some things from me and maybe I can lead them a little bit, but they can sure as hell teach me some stuff,
I was gonna
and we can
say,
get real,
it
real
keeps you
creative
young.
together. Does 100%, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
we
Keeps you
call them the
agile,
we call them the posse, and they love the fact that I call them the posse, and it's great.
right?
And yeah, so we do some creative things and some cutting edge things, and we're in great position for the year coming up, and pretty excited about what we're doing. And appreciate you having me on and talking about
Absolutely.
the business. So I wish you all the best with UTI and what you're doing. And don't take all
You
my
as well,
LTI,
Mark.
my Lincoln Tech students. We need some too.
Exactly. Yep. Friendly competition. Friendly competition.
Friendly
I
competition,
can't let you
definitely.
go without at least giving Ted a shout out because you and I met through Ted Ings
Yep.
for Fixed Ops Roundtable. And we've been on multiple podcasts together, but never by ourselves. So I'd like to at least give Ted a shout out, and I'll make sure I tag him in this when we end up putting it
Always,
up. So,
listen, always Ted Ings is my friend and my colleague. Ted's one of my
yep.
closest friends. Him and Ed Roberts.
Yeah, Ed's
We
amazing.
we still have the mobile service panel. It's great.
Perfect.
Love those guys. Tully Williams, Sean
Yep.
Kingery, uh, just all those guys on the round table. Done so much for me. Really opened some doors.
Yeah,
I try to give back to them at every chance I get to go to a pop up event and all the great things that Ted's done for the industry, bring people together. Uh, Ted's
absolutely.
Ted's brought me together with some of my partners when it comes to software and upfitting and
Sure.
environmental and all the things that we're doing in mobile service. But it's a great platform. And if you're a young fixed ops person out there and you want to learn something, uh, get involved, join, learn, create a
Yep.
network. Um,
It's an
w-
it's an
we've just
excellent place to find a lot
yeah,
of information, fixedopsroundtable.com.
yeah, and the network's insane. The people are so willing to help you. I'm willing to
Yep.
help you. Give me a
I
call,
s
shoot
I
me an
spoke
email.
with, I spoke with Tony Owens this morning at, like, four
Right.
o'clock in the morning, and
There you
he's gonna
go.
come on. I'm gonna record with him next Saturday,
Yeah,
so he's
Tony's
gonna come on.
again. Tony's one of the original guys, right? So,
Yeah. He's
there you
like, "Why
go.
me? Why
Yeah,
me?" I was like, "Man, you've always been a positive, like, voice out there in the industry." He's
yeah,
still at Ford at Beaver Creek in, Ohio, so it's like it
yep.
was 40 miles from where I grew up at. I'm like, "Hey, we gotta get you on and get to you talk to you and find out what's happening in the industry."
Listen, I
Like,
can
it's
only tell you,
amazing stuff.
I give back, and I give back to guys like Ted, and I give back to, I've been proudly called by some people, they're mentors in the business and things like that. And
Right.
I gladly do things like this. I do things like,
Absolutely.
volunteer on my time at Lincoln Tech is because, the industry and the business and the people have been very good to me.
Exactly.
And it's really been good to my family. It's been a heck
Yep.
of a way of making a great living. I can't complain about one thing about my career because of the people that supported me and the people that
Yep.
gave me a chance. And if I can help somebody do that, or if I can make a dealer make their dealer better, their dealership better,
Yep.
and make one more dollar than make it today, that's kind of why I'm in it. And I'm having a lot of fun right now, so it's good.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
You can
it's good.
tell. I mean, it oozes, right? Like, it's contagious, you can feel it.
Yeah.
And I
So
tell
we're
students all the time, like, I am it is an honor to share this industry with you because 'cause I've never went hungry, and I've never had, not had a
now
roof over my head.
it's been
I've
great,
always
man.
made money. So
I
it's
put
been
three kids through college and just married two daughters in a short period of time. So
yeah,
it came from somewhere.
and you still have your hair.
Yeah, still in my hair, still in my hair.
Can't
So
beat that.
yeah, no, still in the hair, and I still have the same my same wife of almost 42 years now. So it's
Now that almost doesn't
uh,
happen in fixed
yeah,
ops, so
no, no. So
not in the
that's
industry as a whole, so you've
no,
made it
no,
through. You've
yeah.
made it through.
My wife's been very supportive of me over the years. Everything that I did, because to get where I was, I had to do some crazy shit over the
Oh, yeah,
years,
you
and
always do.
that's
Yeah, it's long hours, you got
90-hour work. The 90-hour work week was common at one
I
point.
remember
So
when I was at Jag and Rover, I was going at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes to get paperwork done before we opened at 7.
sure,
So,
did
yeah, you get
always
4 hours of paperwork, booking warranty stuff and closing ROs and all that stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about.
always did what you had to do, right?
You have to,
That's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
absolutely. Hey,
So
once again, it's been
thanks,
amazing,
Robert.
Mark. I really
Thank you very
appreciate you
much.
coming on.
Oh, anytime. Thank you very much. Good luck with everything.
We got a barn burner on our hands.
Take care.
You as well.